I have a preference for disproportionately large buttocks, and I'm unable to be dishonest on the subject. I have many male friends that concur, and although I refer to these individuals as siblings, that is misleading, because we're not related, but I digress. The moment a female enters my vicinity with a midsection that is dwarfed by the circumference of her posterior, I process the visual information, and I become sexually aroused. I become transfixed on her hindquarters and maintain an intense gaze that is voyeuristic in nature. Based solely on my superficial objectification of her haunches, I begin to fantasize about having relations with her of a sexual nature, and contemplate a photography session yielding pornographic material. My aforementioned male associates caution me against such endeavors, but my sexual arousal takes precedence over good judgment, so I ignore the advice of my friends. She states that she requires me to chauffeur her utilizing my Mercedes as a means of conveyance. Rather than learn her name, I refer to her as a clever play on words, utilizing a character from a classic fairy tale, the meaning of which again uses her backside as the focal point of interest. After watching the provocative way she dances, and I decide to forego romantic gestures and begin comparing her to an American sports car that has been equipped with a turbocharger. I have developed a dissenting opinion to the majority of publications that idealize posteriors of a more compact design, and speculate that many African American males hold the same sentiment. I hold a public forum in which I inquire as to whether or not my male friends' significant others have large derrieres, and they confirm that they do. I tell them to instruct their female companions to gyrate their butts, while simultaneously assuming the hindquarters in question to be free of disease. I prefer derrieres that are circular and substantial in mass. When I'm performing live music at an event at which I'm also the host, I become unable to control my inhibitions, and I behave like wildlife. For your consideration, here's the itinerary I've put together for our rendezvous. I intend to bring you to the abode at which I reside and perform sexual acts with you, twice. Do not confuse my vocalizations to convey an affinity for cosmetically enhanced breasts, as I have an aversion to synthetic tissue and hold the belief that only adolescents are attracted to such things. I want my women to be organic, dense, and succulent, and I'm willing to search extensively for a female that meets this criteria, because simply pleading for it places me in inexplicable jeopardy. I watch cinematic presentations showcasing the musical creations of young men played as a style of music categorized as rock and roll, and find these films proliferated with well-traveled women that professionally perform sexual acts for monetary gain. I want nothing to do with these scandalous vixens, as my proclivities attract me to women like Florence Dolores Griffith Joyner. I'd now like to direct the focus of my verbalized desire specifically towards overweight women with whose epidermis has a high melanin content. I want to fornicate with you, and offer my lack of propensity to speak pejoratively towards you and a lack of desire to physically assault you as reassurance that my intentions are not entirely without honor. That being said, I want to engage in intercourse with you until the sun comes into view over the horizon. Many individuals with an IQ of room temperature will take issue with my philosophies and will foster that disdain in the form of disliking my art form. I assert that this is just a manifestation of their immaturity, which is also highlighted by the fact that these people prefer to have intercourse with a woman on a one-time basis with no intent of follow-through with a continued relationship. I prefer to overstay my welcome and spend prolonged amounts of time convincing you to service me sexually. I justify this by reminding you that my reproductive organ is of substantial length and in muscular nature. I'm down to use our crotches to generate heat through thermodynamic process commonly referred to as friction. If you ladies would enjoy accompanying myself in my luxury automobile, then simply about face and thrust your hindquarters outward. I want to reiterate that I don't favor the attributes deemed desirable by major media publications. I will now reinforce this by cleverly recounting the physical measurements of the woman established in a Commodore song, but add the criteria that she be below average weight. Your partner commutes in a small car imported from Japan and listens to a self-help tape recorded by a celebrity with a low body fat percentage. I metaphorically refer to my sex organ as a breed of reptile and assert that it isn't interested in you unless you are undisciplined in your eating habits. Yeah. Baby got back. Baby got back.